right now we're just hanging out in Pierre Loti Cafe, and we're just gonna talk to Mr. Mehmet, and he's gonna tell us about Pierre Loti.
Well, Turkiye is actually one of the popular spots where people come and enjoy the view, and they also enjoy the coffees, and because this is also a great place to have like baked potato, fried potatoes, and French fries. Kebab, actually not kebab, but usually snacks. They usually eat like chestnuts or corn or pretzel. The Turkish pretzel is very famous. So they eat similar, exactly. Yes.
How long or how new is this cable car?
Well, the cable car is new, actually about 20 years old, because about, let's say 30 years ago, Old World was not nice like this, because we had some problems, infrastructure problems at the time, and this was not a good place to enjoy, because kind of sewer system was actually brought to the Old World, and then the municipalities took action, and then they cleaned it. Actually, it was a great project, and they did a lot of work in here, and then they cleaned it up. So that's why it turned out to be a beautiful spot. And then eventually they built some hotels, the convention center on the other side, and then they are building a couple of hotels now, and there used to be dockyards, and they were also polluting the water, so they were all closed down, and now actually some of them are becoming cultural center or hotels.
Wow.
So it's actually becoming a very prominent part of the city, and it's become very popular, and lately they start doing the canoeing. So this is actually one of the attractions of the Turkish people come over here. However, tourists discovered this area because cable car actually made it easier to come up here. It's also an attraction because instead of driving all the way up to here, they're just taking the cable car, and it takes only 2 minutes to come up here. And then meanwhile, they enjoy the great view, and they enjoy the experience.
You don't have to worry about parking, you don't have to worry about taxi.
That's right. Yeah, they just come up here in like 2 minutes, and then sit down in the cafe like this, and then they just enjoy their coffee, as we are doing now.
One thing I really love about Istanbul and Turkey as a whole is because how they keep and they maintain the history. That means the old buildings, the old churches, the old mosques, the old synagogues, and it's something that you can still experience from the past.
Well, Turkey actually is benefiting from tourism as well. As a tourist guide, I can see this progress. When I started 35 years ago, we had only 1 million tourists.
Wow.
And
even that's still a lot. Yeah. And today?
Today is actually, last year was 52 million.
52 million tourists.
That made us the 4th biggest tourist receiving country in the world.
Congratulations.
And so tourism actually boomed, and then we decided to restore the old houses, old buildings, palaces, and many things have been converted to museums to attract more tourists. So that's why Istanbul has about 150 museums.
Some of the cities, like Kurulus, Osman, this is all bringing people here.
Amazing though, because I met some guests visiting Turkey, and main reason why they came to Turkey was actually to see the venues where those movies were shot.
Yeah.
And then actually, the most impressive thing for me was some of them were actually able to speak some Turkish because
of the series.
Because of the series, right? They were all coming in here and then saying that, hey, mashallah, inshallah, and then some, nasılsın, how are you? That kind of things.
The names of all these characters.
Some of them actually I have not seen, but they knew them much more than I do. So it was very nice, and then I saw the power of those soap operas or novellas and then those series. So that actually contributed to our tourism a lot.
Talking about history, right? This place has got quite a rich history. You've got some really old houses here and some early Jewish and Anatolian people here. So what's the history of this place?
Well, there was actually a cafe over here in the mid-19th century.
Wow.
And then Pierre Loti, one of the French author, actually he was originally an admiral. So he did come to Istanbul by ship, and he stopped by here and he fell in love with Istanbul. And actually also one more author, he has come over here Edmondo Damitis, and he loved the Istanbul as well. He wrote down about the city. And then Pierluigi had the same destiny. He came in here and he loved the city. And then he decided to come to Istanbul again over and over. And finally he did come over here, told me he had a lover in Istanbul. And then he wrote down a novel about her, Ziyade. Actually, one of his books is known as Ziyade. It's written in here, in this coffee house. You see over here. Oh, right. And this coffee house.
So how old was this?
That is about 200 years old.
200 years, wow.
And when he was here, there was a coffee house here where the Turkish people were hanging out. So he decided to join them as well. And impressed with this view, and then he was actually inspired with this great view. And then he wrote down his novel in here, and he made this place very famous. That's why
His name after him.
exactly. Actually, the name of the coffee was changed. It was called Rabia Hatun Coffee House, but then people started calling this place after him. So it was called actually after Pierluigi. So we call this area as Pierluigi. And Pierluigi was actually accessible through the cemetery down here, or driving all around the small side winding streets and then coming here. So the municipality wanted to add something to this area. That's why they built the cable car.
Right.
And it's so nice experience.
Accessible then.
Yeah, so then they come over here to see the coffee house where Pierluigi was enjoying himself. That's why this coffee house has got lots of books of him and then pictures on the wall. You can actually see
You
them.
can go in and everyone can go in and see.
So that's right. It's kind of a museum. People can enjoy the house.